Township Board meeting, January 13th, 2016. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can we have roll call attendance, please?
Matt?
Yes. Here.
Patty? Here. Mary Agnes?
Yes?
Ken?
Here.
Vi? Here. Angie excused.
All right, the first thing is the agenda approval, additions or deletions. I have a couple things I want to add to, I guess it'd be just announcements, so we'll let it just come up as when we get to that part of it, so it's nothing we have to take any action on. And then the consent agenda.
I got a couple issues with that.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
On the minutes, from the last meeting, I had brought up the sale of the Starville property
Yes.
until we got figures, town
Right.
figures,
Mm-hmm.
and everything. There wasn't a vote on that, was there? I didn't recall that. We go down to number 3, and it wasn't that we revisit the motion. It was that was a motion to skip welders, was that not for the park?
Yes.
And then get an inspection?
Yes.
And there's a third one. It was whether or not, I didn't request that the township hall work that 2 days. That was a motion that was passed with the previous board. That wasn't a discussion thing, it was an informative thing. And it says that I requested that.
Where is that?
Number
Ken?
7.
It would be number 7, under new business, in the last meeting.
Okay, I see.
And you agreed to give it a try, and I don't think it's really anybody's permission to agree to it or not. It's something that was already passed.
All right. Well, we won't accept the minutes, then we'll have her make the necessary changes. Matt, you had a
That's
couple
the question. I had 7 also. Number 6, there's no motion made. It says motion moved to renew the contract with IRS, seconded by Cottrellville. Who made the first? Who made the motion?
Who took the vote?
Got 2. Number 4, the ordinance enforcement, I had questions on that. Shouldn't number 4 in all these minutes reflect action taken and give you a little synopsis of what occurred at the meeting so you could read it and know past history?
That's kind of the way I like to see them done.
And this isn't that way, and that was my concerns.
Yeah, I agree. So let's just take this out of the consent agenda for right now, and we'll look at it again next month after we make some changes.
We'll look at it again, or we'll correct it?
Well, we're gonna have to approve the minutes.
Well, I mean, because it always says that we're gonna look at it, we're gonna review it or thing, but nothing ever seems to happen. Is it gonna get corrected, the minutes?
Well, we have to change it because you're not gonna vote on them. You don't.
Okay.
You want them removed from the consent agenda, and then we'll look at it with her, make the changes that you're inquiring about, because I made your notes.
If I could, please.
Sure, go ahead.
We make a motion to accept the consent agenda, excusing the minutes.
Withdrawing that,
Withdrawing
yes.
the minutes. And if I could say one more thing on this, Mr. Chartier just pointed something out. We say we're going to get back to things. For instance, in these meetings under open session, number 1, 2, and 6 were discussions and things said, and not only for the board's input, but for the residents. Those items should be brought back and follow up so that the township knows what happened with those items. And I think in past history, that hasn't happened well for the best interests of our citizens. And one other point, when motions are made through any rules, Atwoods or any public meeting, I suggested it once to the clerk, when we make a motion, so there's no question such as this, could the motions be made
Reread, you
first,
mean?
second, and then reread before they're approved?
We'll do it that way.
It's proper procedure in this format. Just so that everybody understands what they're voting on, there should be no question. And then the motion is there and written out.
Okay,
If we could do that, try to.
we sure can.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take out the approval of the Township Board minutes then. Is that in the form of a motion?
I have more discussion if you allow it.
Sure.
Or if you wanted the motion to start a discussion, however you like it. My concern.
Well, that's the first thing. There may be other things that you want to remove,
Right.
is
And
what I'm saying. So you want to just start
So
with
do we
that
have,
one?
what do you want, a motion that we don't accept the consent agenda for
No.
what reasons? Do you want a motion for each of these
You're going to have
things
to
in your
give me,
consent agenda?
you're going to have to give me a motion after we go through the rest of this, if you want to wait to the end, of what you're removing that you don't want to include in it. And then we'll take a vote on that, and then the other thing we'll have to bring back.
I could make a motion, if allowed, to accept the consent agenda with with number 1, 3, and 4 removed. If you'd like me to explain why, I will.
I'll second that.
Okay. Go ahead.
The reason why is we just discussed the number 1, the minutes. 3 and 4 are payrolls and payables. My responsibility and all the board, but under the title of trustee, I'm responsible for the township's fiduciary health responsibility and welfare. These minutes in this packet doesn't reflect where we are in the budget process. And we did that past board so we could look at line items, know how much money was in each line item, how much money was in our general ledger, so when we made motions to spend money, we knew we were spending within the guidelines of the budget. This hasn't reflected that in 3 months. We understood that we had new people on the board and it would take some time, but the computer system's in there. It's whatever program we're using there, BSNA, program's there. The clerk has seen that, and it would let us know what percent of budgets for every line item, for every category, for everything we do, so that we could make motions properly.
Okay, so are we, I mean, payroll is already done. The approval for the opens and that were paid and the paids that need to go out, we're gonna hold that up then until next month?
How can you pay something if you don't know if there's money there?
Well, we have to pay them on time.
I totally understand that. We've had a few, I think all of this board has been changed with the exception of one because of issues like that. That's why I'm not trying to be, I use the word belligerent by any means, I'm trying to be responsible. That's why those reports and these programs were put in play so that we could do the proper job for the people we represent. And I don't have that here. You want me to spend $62,000, paid $41,000. I don't know if the money's there to pay it. I could say, yeah, and it just goes by, and we go further in the hole.
And there might be some questions on some of the payables and/or some of the payroll. I mean, there's no explanation.
Well,
of
do
any
you
of
want
these.
copies of all the invoices? I mean,
Yes.
those come to the meetings, and anything you want to question, you can, but that's why I gave you this book a week ahead of time. If there was something there that looked funny to you, I wish you to come in and see us, because we need to discuss it.
Well, it shouldn't be just for me, it should be open for everyone.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, well, that's why we're talking right now,
Well,
you know.
what one of you got a question on? Let's see if we can handle this.
All right, if you want to start that way, your payroll.
Okay.
Somehow, I've never seen or familiar with a Mr. Bailey that works for the township.
He's an inspector, electrical.
Was he ever going to get introduced to the board? I've been here 3 years and I haven't met him.
He was here when we walked in. We didn't know who hired him or when he was hired.
He was here.
Did he walk in with Mr. Karras?
No,
Karras
Mr.
is
Karras was here when I was here.
The
He's
building.
been hired at
Again.
least 4 years ago.
Again, have no idea. There's no explanation. It just says, just a name, and we're supposed to,
He's never been paid before?
never been itemized for that, $1,800?
Well,
How often does he get paid?
When,
it's
just
a
a minute.
permit fee,
it's a permit
based on
fee.
what work I mean, if somebody buys a new furnace, there's several inspections that go with that, and he gets a percentage, and the township gets a percentage.
Yeah. He, one of them turns his invoices for the year in. That's Mr. Karras.
So this is
Christmas.
this is a yearly check?
Mr.
For him it
Karras
is.
wants a yearly. He uses it for Christmas.
Mr. Bailey, I don't know how often you haven't written him a check before either, have you?
No, these
Well,
are
I
for-
guess that's why I haven't seen those before.
Well, they must have gotten it some, because it's only $435. People do a lot more wiring than they do anything else.
Well, hopefully we'll see that from now on, won't we? Then if you want to go to the payables,
Would you want us to give you copies of those two invoices?
well, I mean,
that he
it
gives us?
shows here that they're employees, that
Well,
these are
they are.
payroll checks.
Yes.
Okay, if we don't even know they're an employee, or we're unaware of it, it's kind of a curious question, I would think, that's in order to find out who else is working for the township
if-
that we don't know.
If we give you a copy of whatever was approved by the building inspector for these gentlemen to be paid, then we'll give you a copy of that when we issue a check for them, guys. How's that?
It's a start.
Okay.
But they've been here, so they should have had copies last year.
Okay, who else?
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Yep.
On your opens, that whole sheet, invoice registers for report, I just went down, 101, 253, 860, mileage. I don't know who that's for. And looking in October's, which is the last time we received,
Which one are you on?
Where are you at?
on your open here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's under it.
Accounts payable?
Total
Yes.
mileage is, yeah,
Yeah,
101,
accounts
253, 860 mileage, right in the middle of the page, in the upper third. I just grabbed that one. Thought it would be easy.
Okay, well, it looks like it's Connie Turner,
Right.
right there, $69.
Right. And my point is, yeah, $69. To have the report like we strive for, probably better than a year to get, showed me how much money's in that account, to know that we have it there and we don't, supervisor wouldn't have to adjust the budget. But just seeing 69 with nothing there, I don't know if the money's there. And that's why I made the motion as I do, because looking at this report, I don't know if the money, I don't even know if the money's there. I'm going back to October, this is January, because it's not been generated. That's my point, because surely not trying to be difficult.
No, I'm not taking it
I'm
that way.
not saying, yeah, I'm not trying to be, but,
No, we're
I mean, for
trying to
instance,
please you.
2 lines down, 48,563. That's a large sum of money. Is that money in here? I don't think anybody knows. And it's not fair to ask you, because I know you don't have a report in front of you to know if it's there.
That was the fire authority.
That's fire authority.
Green City Fire Authority.
And I personally know there's 105 is budgeted, so I gotta believe it is, but does that put us at 98% for the year, which would probably be right? I don't know.
Okay. Kenny, did you have any more? I didn't mean to cut you off. Are you all set?
On payroll, I am on payables.
Okay, go ahead.
Who's Blue Tarp?
That's the new finance company that takes care of all lumberjacks' receipts now.
So Blue Tarp is,
Their billing.
It's a corporation out of Georgia, I think.
and Duraseal is,
That's the people that clean the building.
okay.
And they've been here for probably 10 years.
And then, on your register, I guess that means these checks here have been cut. You got one here to Huron for $100, but there was no invoice. And then we got an invoice from Huron for $512 for an inspection and construction, and it has no idea, no explanation as to what project, where it is, who it was.
Well, the one with the V for $100 was a voided check.
So that's voided, that's what your
V,
denotation
yeah.
is?
Yes,
What
sir.
was it for? That it got voided, or how did it get
I don't know.
inputted to get voided?
It must have,
Answer that. Okay.
sure, go ahead.
Those are $250 fees for advertising for the sewer cleaning televising. They were cut to Huron by mistake. It's supposed to go to the advertising company. That's why they were voided. So you should see another $100 check going out somewhere. Either
Pitney Bowes
with this
No,
batch
that's the mail.
or Mida?
Mida.
What is it?
Mida.
Mida?
It's right here. It's like
In the opens?
right
So
here. above
why
it.
are-
Okay, I see.
what are-
And
what
it's
are
another
these
100 in the
those for, Joe?
open.
Okay.
Right there.
That's good.
You sent us a copy of these?
Yes, that one is for the Verizon inspection. If you remember last board meeting, you authorized to go out and inspection.
Do you think that maybe your description on your invoicing could be a little more informative? If my Alzheimer's didn't remember the Verizon tower, I'd really never understand this invoice.
I apologize for that.
And then what's the construction administrator $100 for?
Yes,
Is
that's a
that the
typo.
same 100 back?
No, that's totally goes to Verizon. The township, we bill the township bills Verizon. I could hang mark on that or send you a revised one.
So that is something that we have to invoice Verizon? It wasn't in
Oh,
none
you
of
haven't
the...
seen it?
It's a reversal.
Oh, I've never saw that before either.
Nope.
How did you get this, Kenny?
Email.
You asked me about this the other day, and I hadn't seen it before. Okay.
Yeah, we don't really send it to the clerk and just the process for payment.
Well, she brings everything in to me to double check, but I didn't see this before, and I happened to be taking him his agenda book, and he asked me about this, and I
And I asked her, I said, what is this?
hadn't
You
seen
have
it
any
yet.
idea?
So you must have just sent it to the, did you get this too?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Did you get that?
No, I did not.
No.
Oh, should,
You sent it to the
It's an email,
trustees and not,
I thought you.
treasurer should get a copy, so should the
Yeah.
clerk.
Yeah, we don't
Well, I
really
think
send
that's why he was sending them to us. They used to go to those departments and we never got them.
Oh,
So I think that's probably why he's forwarding them
to you
to
people.
us also.
I would do the board every time, if you like.
please. Okay. Anything else you're looking at, Ken?
I believe that was it at this point. Well, no, I guess not. One more question.
Sure.
Plant Moran for 10,000. Is that the 10,000 that the previous board to this replacement board and the current board absorbed that $10,000 bill that hadn't been paid when you were in there before by?
We never
For
had
additions,
Plant Moran
No.
when I was in there. We
It's
had the
Stuart
one for
Whipple.
Fort York.
Well, we had that $10,000 bill for who that hadn't been paid? Was that BSNA?
That was BSN.
Are they paid now?
That was 5,000, I think.
10,000.
There was another one for 10?
Yeah, we were told it was 2 10s.
No,
Okay,
that
there could
Plant
have been
Moran
one
was
for
2
your new
10s.
equipment.
No, this was,
10 for Plant
this was one we
Moran,
absorbed in our
balance
first
2 after
budget.
the audit was done.
There was a previous balance, because we were wondering why we were behind the 8 ball so fast. And that was one that hadn't been paid by the board prior to.
That's
I
the
don't
BSN,
know that.
we were 20 behind.
I
we
do
paid
know
the 2
that
10s.
the Plant Moran, though, that one is,
That's just for, since they've taken over the last 2 years?
Last year.
yeah.
Okay.
Isn't it a total of 35 for Plant Moran? We paid 25 once complete, and then we had an additional 10 once that audit was completed.
No, I think it was
Yeah, yeah.
15. and it turned out to be 6,000 more. I found a letter of engagement that was signed, and it was supposed to be for, I think, 15 something, 15,575, something like that. And it turned out, when I called to question them about it, because it was $6,000 higher, it was because most of that, well, they had 7,760 some hours, and they gave us a 40% discount. And I said, why would you give us 40% discount when you have, I mean, I'm not biting the hand that feeds me, but why would, when you have labor that charges you an hourly rate to do this, why would you cut that out? She said it wasn't. And I said, well, what was it? And she said it was because it was the number of phone calls and time it takes to email things to the office to get information about things they needed to finish the audit. The audit didn't get finished till October 26th. That's only a week before we took office. And it was all telephone calls that they billed us by the hour to try and get her to finish it, to send her the things she needed to have to complete it. She says there were phone calls, there were appointments here that she made that she left at noon. They only got here worked for 4 hours.
I think I do recall coming once for an appointment and no one was here or something.
She wouldn't let Helen take care of anything as far as pulling information. She wanted to be the one pulling all the information, and there was just not enough cooperation, and they just billed us. They kept track of all the hours, and then they gave us a 40% discount.
Then it's a legitimate bill.
It is, unfortunately.
I think that's all my questions.
Okay? All right. All right, do we still want to remove those 3 items? Or are you satisfied with your questions and the answers that you received, other than your report that you didn't get? Which we will.
Still want to remove the minutes.
Right, the minutes you still want to remove, but the payables and the paychecks,
It wouldn't hurt to have the explanation along with these reports.
we'll do it from now on.
Then I'll still stay with the second, excluding 1, 3, and 4.
Okay, so what do we do about paying these bills? You're gonna wait another month? I mean, if you'd have said something to us, we'd have got this before. That's why I gave you your book a whole week early.
We did, with all due respect, it's been said. Ben showed, the reports have been shown. This particular report right here was walked in and shown. This is what the past board developed so that this issue didn't happen. So that we as a board could be responsible to the people we represent.
Yeah, but you didn't portray that to the clerk and to me. I had never
I
heard that
portrayed
before.
this to the clerk very clearly. I showed her. I said, if you just look in October, look at the policies that were in place. Some of these people out in this crowd were put in policy committees mandated by the supervisor to come up with people from this community, set policies in play that the clerk has those policies in her office, and these were part of it so that we could follow guidelines. So if right now, so that I take you off the hot seat in a sense, well, we have a motion, we have to first go through with the motion. I could amend the motion and say excluding 1, the minutes. But you're going to pay bills not knowing if there's money there. And we're going to say go ahead and pay those bills. And this was brought directly. This particular paper was given in this report, October last year, shown what we're looking for. And it's not what I'm looking for, it's what we as a board, the past board, thought was in the best interest of the citizens so that we could do our job up here.
Okay, but you gotta let us know what you're doing. I don't know of any policies book around here. Have you seen a policies book? Because we were looking for something the other day and couldn't find it. The whole book is gone.
Then you'd have to go through the minutes then and go back and get it. She would, I guess. I mean, if you look at your authorities and responsibilities, that's the clerk's responsibility. And I know Angie's new. Could have been the last clerk didn't do it. That I don't know. I'm not privileged to that. But I just know these reports were given to us the whole last year. And it took a long time to get them right. We worked with MTA, we worked with BSNA, and we worked with our clerk so that she would generate this number so we could do our job.
Well,
This was shown to current.
We're not aware of it, so we
You
can
may
do
not
it.
have that.
We can take care of it tomorrow if you wait.
What's the title on that report?
Can I have this for a minute? Revenue and expenditure.
Well, that one's easy to find.
And that's,
We found that out afterwards.
it's there.
You want to go get it and run it right now?
What's the date? What's the dates that they want?
Well, I guess we gotta have,
It's the month
The
prior to the
whole month.
meeting.
Last month.
So that would have been
Yeah, but by the time-
December's.
By the time I take and run this. After
is that
meeting.
all one report?
I mean, you look at that report, that was October, you could see exactly where every penny is spent and what's in each account.
For
That's
the
why it's
month.
generated.
It's 20 pages.
20 pages, yeah. No, let's run it tomorrow and give it to them, because you're gonna have these people sitting here. By the time I run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of 20 pages, that's 100 pages.
Okay. Is that all right with you?
Well, I think it's board decision. I mean, we could amend the motion or turn this motion down and then a motion to, well, I'll do it if Ken, second, it allows. Amend the motion to state accepting the consent agenda with the exclusion of number 1.
Yeah. Ken, do you
I'll second
withdraw
that.
your first motion?
That's fine.
Second? Okay,
So first motion is done, we amend it to read that,
all right.
so that we can pay bills and not have issues, more issues. But let's
I,
hopefully get
as
it
a
done.
resident, don't want to see you paying penalties and interest again. I know what he's saying, but you guys only took over the last of November, so give you a break for a little bit.
Well, I would like to know these things, if, you know,
I was the
if you
one
tell
that
us what you
told
need, we'll
Lori
get them
that
for
I
you.
talked to the gal at BSNA and how to do the report, because Lori was gonna do her own Excel sheet. And I gave all the board members the copy that I got from Nora on how to do these reports.
Just one question. There is money in the account to pay all the bills that you've written the checks for?
I only wrote the payroll checks. The other checks, I would have to go in and look. I do the water billing. I would have to go in and check.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll find out tomorrow, we'll get that information out to you. And then we'll hold up one day of paying bills. If we have to work Friday, we'll work Friday to take care of it. Is that fair enough for you?
Fair enough.
Okay, all right.
Those 20 pages times 5 is the reason why you need to look again at those tablets that all the other townships around are using, rather than printing all that paper stuff.
Oh, yeah, that file of paperwork, yeah. that's ridiculous.
Well, that's another thing we want to revisit too, so. But I haven't talked to your wife about it yet.
I'll check her schedule.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Would you please read the motion?
Just a minute. I need the one that we're going to remove,
The board minutes,
The board minutes, okay.
E1,
E1.
A.
A motion was made to approve the consent agenda with the removal of the board minutes, which is E1.
A.
I'm sorry.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried.
That's not a roll call because it's money spent, is it?
Yeah, it probably should be. Are you done writing? Can you take a
Yeah.
roll call and call a,
Okay, because it's money. Okay.
yes?
Matt?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Mary Agnes?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
I can't vote.
No. All right. We have the investment report, that's in there, that hasn't changed much. For the treasurer's report, we're gonna remove that Township Bank reconciliation report. Then we have the payroll checks of December 15th and December 31st, 2015. The gross combined total the amount of $22,523.82. We have the approval of accounts payable. The opens to be paid is $62,548.30. Paids are $41,935.98. There was no continuing education requests. Huron Consultant Engineering Project Status Report dated January 4th, 2016. And the correspondence from the Marine City Fire Authority runs for December 2015. We did not get the ones from Ira Township.
I can tell you on the payroll, nothing came up red, and I ran it today.
Well, if we're gonna discuss the payables, the opens that are paid, 62, the pays that are paid are 41. Can you kind of explain what the difference is?
The opens to be paid, that's the one sheet that has not been paid yet. Those are things that have to have board action. The paids are the ones that are normally paid, like your Edison and your gas and things that come up every month, and they have to be paid on a certain day to make it.
Well, because it says that they were paper checks, so obviously they've already been caught. Or cut.
These were already cut, yes, paper
Yes.
checks.
They just haven't been sent out.
They haven't been sent out, no, sir.
They're the ones that would include a penalty.
Any other questions? Can we proceed? Okay. Open session. Anyone wishing to address the board regarding agenda items may do so at this time from the audience.
Is that anything on this, anything top or bottom, or just what we discussed so far?
No, that's anything on the agenda.
All the way to the bottom.
This, I was hoping was going to be on the agenda. The Planning Commission is inviting the board for a joint meeting on January 27th to escalate the master plan review. I've sent each one of you an email regarding that, but just in case you haven't received it, we are inviting you as the joint meeting. And we're also going to invite the Parks and Rec and Historical Society just for any input. And the other thing, when you get your packet, especially because this is a new board and you're going through things that we've made some changes, it would probably be a good idea to discuss it before the meeting so that you can have that information at the meeting. So I think that would be a good idea, you know, Matt and Ken, when you see that, to remind them, and then they'll get in the groove. So, thank you.
Thank you, Pat.
While you're walking there, Pat, would you kind of explain how we could all have that conversation without it being a quorum?
I think you can send an email. You could individually discuss with one person, you know, and they'll make a note. And I don't think that would be a quorum. If you're saying, I don't see the, you know, this budget balance that you want to see, I mean, I understand that because I've just requested my quarterly report because I want to see, I have never, in the past, with the past board, and the past clerk, I have not gotten what I wanted because the Verizon is all mixed up in my budget. And that Verizon bill, that, I mean, that should...
We can only talk to one person at a time. 3 is a quorum.
I know. You can send an email to the, you know, the supervisor or something, or to the clerk, saying, I see the agenda and I don't see this on it, I don't see this in my packet. Whoever prepares the packet. Why can't you? And then if she has a question, she can talk to whoever she needs to talk to. You don't have to form a quorum to ask a question.
Just asked.
It's not a quorum.
Wonder what your opinion was.
I don't see how that's a quorum.
Hello, Mr. Barnes.
I'm just going to ask, I haven't been here for a while, so somebody might have forgot me.
No.
That's why I asked a question about this. I have a couple things on here that I'd just like to either have explained or whatever before we do
Sure.
anything. The fire authority, as everybody knows, I've been on their case or was on their case all the time. For us, we were supposed to save money, okay, by having the fire authority, but we were always behind the 8 ball. So I don't know, haven't heard anything lately if we're still paying out and not receiving anything, okay? And the other thing I marked on here, an agreement, I'm not sure what you're talking about, the agreement between Cottrellville Township and the Tri-County Hospital Emergency Medical Services. If that's an ambulance service or what, or if that's strictly for use of the park or somebody that's on our property at the time, or what that's for. Because down on the bottom, you're waiving another invoice for the winter circle, okay? In regards to that, let me put it this way. I've said that before. If we get ambulance service, the person that receives the service should be responsible for paying that bill. My wife saved a deer and ruined my car. And when they took her to the hospital, okay, not only did she, good thing we had crop insurance, so we damaged the crop in the field. We got the bill for it. We had to pay for it. But my insurance, I had insurance to cover that. And that's happened to me in the past. So I think that if the service is rendered by the ambulance service to whoever renders that service, they should be responsible to pay that bill. They should be billed for that service.
I
Okay?
agree.
And I don't think that we should waiver anything for these things, because I can come in and ask for a waiver for everything too. But any responsible person, I think, would carry insurance to cover these situations, you know? So I just don't know, when you put these things down here, I don't know what was discussed about this, the agreement between the hospital and what it was for, until I asked about the parks by chance, okay, or what it was, you know. It doesn't state in here enough for me as a spectator, you might say, to know what exactly you were talking about in that particular thing. But I am definitely concerned about the fire authority and how we're doing on that, and if we're still sticking with that, why, okay? And then, like I said, I'm for, if people have emergency services, we should not be paying for their services. They should have their own insurance to cover that, and if they don't, that's negligence on their part. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Good evening. Happy New Year.
Same to you, sir.
Just a couple of things, quick updates. This morning we met with a contractor and discussed the possibility of combining the three municipalities for the SAW grant bid.
Yes.
And he is familiar with the Cottrellville system, and he actually have some information in his office. So everything looks good. We're going to provide him with all the info, and they're going to put a budget for us together. And we'll share that with the board and ask for recommendation of award shortly.
Is that one of the people that put a quote in prior, or who,
No.
who will this contractor be? What's the name of them?
Michigan Pipe Inspection.
Okay. So we should have an answer then pretty soon, huh?
Yes.
I think by the next board meeting, perhaps? Or before then?
That's the target, but the third municipality, we just got in the work, so we're still developing the specs. And either next board meeting or the following
Okay.
meeting. That's my target. They are extremely busy. Everybody's getting these grants, and that's why the prices were so high. But economy of scale, awarding 3 projects at the same time, yeah, hoping that we get better rates.
Is that something they could do year-round, or, I mean, or is that something, even if, after we get the bids in, if they're approved and everything, it has to wait till March or April, or?
They can do it anytime.
Wintertime, summertime, anytime?
Yeah, they can do it anytime. The ideal time is in the spring, when the ground is wet. So it's the worst case for the sewers to be assessed, but that's the best information that you can get.
Okay.
But in practicality, you could do it anytime. And we will work with them. We still have about over a year and a half to complete that, well, to complete the entire grant. So we're hoping to finish everything by the summer or the fall for all 3 municipalities.
Very good.
I just checked my email for the Verizon invoice. It was sent to the entire board on January 4th. It was sent to Angie and CC everybody. I'm not sure if there's, but I will send a revised one. It will be the same amount and the same date, just to show you who to bill it to Verizon.
Make sure your girl, when she does that she puts on there that this is to be rebuilt to the,
Yes,
so that in case one of the girls misses it. Please.
reimbursable or something, flag
Yep.
that, yeah.
Thank you.
Just a quick comment on the budget. And in other municipalities, what we see is a budget workshop that the board will advertise and make the public aware of. And it's normally the department heads and few board members attend. And as long as you do not vote on anything, it's perfectly legal. Just a comment. The joint meeting, Patty, thank you for sending that email. However, there's a timing issue. April 1st is the deadline for any state, federal grants. And I believe the rec plan and the master plan needs a 30-day waiting period on it. So I'm not sure how we're going to make it.
We'll have a public hearing in February. We'll probably move it up. And then personally take it to Metron Planning. If we don't hear from him within the 30 days, it's a go. And the board can, if they have to, they can have a special meeting.
So that's great, but even with that, we still have
You
to,
can approve it with, well, it's at Metron Planning too.
right,
You'll have it done.
we still have to come up with which grant that we're going to chase and where this board's going to come up with the matching funds and a plan and actually the actual application. And we only have 8 weeks to do all that.
Oh, I thought you already had certain grants that you were going after. That's why I'm pushing it, to make sure it's done by the time so we can say that the grant, I mean,
There is a list of grants, but I'm not authorized by the board to chase any of them. I just want to make sure everybody is on the same page.
We were delayed with the bride and,
So, I mean, we'll work as hard as we can, but the timing may be an issue here. That's all I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, we have that, oh, I'm sorry.
Give these to her. Is that
Under new business, item 9, possibly waiving the $675 invoice. Marine City Fire Department responded with 2 pumpers out there, about $400,000 worth of equipment, and they want it waived because they don't want to turn it into their insurance company.
Well, they claim they have no coverage for it, that their deductible is $1,500 and they had nothing that was of value up to that point and they weren't going to turn it into the insurance. That's why, and she advised me that she had settled it in her mind, that she had come in and talked to Kelly and Kelly had waived it. And I explained to her that Kelly doesn't have that authority to waive it, that the only person that can waive it is this board here, the only entity. And she said, well, now my mind was all set and I had made other arrangements for the money for things that she was going to replace, and now she can't afford it. So she did ask that we bring it before the board, but I told her I didn't think it was going to fly, but we'll see what happens.
The previous board waived a multi-million-dollar company $500. You know, yes, Southeastern Michigan Gas Company.
You're kidding.
They waived a multi-million-dollar, and if I have a house fire, you're going to waive it for me?
No.
No, I don't think so. They should have insurance for it. That's what it's there for.
I agree. Thank you, sir. Anyone else? while we were discussing Sir Med's contribution here, do you think we should have a special meeting and just discuss the possible grants that he would like to go after for us, and see if we can settle on one or two that
Isn't that what the planning commission does first?
No. No, planning commission has nothing to do with that.
No.
We're just pushing to get the master plan done.
Which
Make it
ones,
effective.
which ones we would want to? No? All right.
No,
No.
our job is to make sure that we're updated with the master plan, so we'll be viable
Okay.
in case there's a grant they want.
Right. And then the grant, the plan for the recreation plan has to be updated as well. And I think that's probably asking him a lot to have both of those. So I did have a backup plan here. It's one of the things on the items for new business.
Well, when we get to that one, then we'll,
Discuss it then? All right. All right, can we continue then? All right, the next one is the unfinished business. It's the market values that were requested by Mr. Chartier for the sale of the Cottrellville property. That is here. She gave me 3 different ones. Everyone have a chance to go through that? These are larger pieces, and when I asked her point blank what she felt would be a marketable figure for that, she said 17.5 is what she would start at, if that's agreeable to everyone.
I think that's what we had it listed at before, but that was our bottom number. So, I mean, she can start anywhere she wants, but 17.5 is going to be the bottom number.
Okay, where would you like her to start?
Anywhere she wants.
You want it above that?
As long as we end up with at least 17.5, I think that's what we discussed as being
Why
satisfactory
don't you do
before.
a mid between the high and the low of,
Well, these aren't real good comparables, because they're larger pieces. There's 2.5 acres on that one. This is only a 1 acre parcel. This is 2.68,
To sell.
and this one is 5.2. So they're all vacant, and they're all in the country, and they're all in our township, but they're not they're not good comparables.
What would we want to call that, zoned as, at this point, since the
It's-
township owns it?
It's agriculture.
Couldn't be, it's less than 2 acres.
Well, we don't have an agricultural.
Since the township owns it, could they zone it any which way they want for any prospective buyer?
like, commercial?
Well, the next piece is, on the corner store is commercial. So you could go B2, that's what that is.
So could the township zone it any which way they wanted for any prospective buyer?
Follow the master plan.
It's a big.
Yeah, it's,
But even on township-owned property? Okay.
yeah.
Which potentially could make it a more valuable piece of property.
On the master plan, I believe that's residential, isn't it?
Mhm. Yeah.
Next to the store,
Doesn't
yeah.
that have storage under it?
So maybe we should look
But
at
even
that.
township property
Oh,
isn't
it might be.
recategorized.
It does. It was used as a storage area.
That's why you have a master plan.
Thanks.
Would it be wise then,
Anything for the try,
Yeah.
would it be wise then to look at those options before you list it?
Well, as Sir Med says, it is what it is on the master plan. I guess we should take a look, but I believe that's residential right there.
Do you want me to go get the?
It wouldn't be hard to
Yeah, it
add to
wouldn't
a
be.
piece that was already there, that's already commercial. I mean, it wouldn't be a spot zoning because it's not out in the middle of anything. I mean, it could be attached to that other piece.
Which my point is then would make it a more desirable and more profitable, you would think, property. So it makes sense to sit on it, wouldn't it, and think about that and get those answers before we do something?
Yep, yep. If that's what you want to do, we'll table
to
this
hear
for a while. Go ahead, Samantha.
This is perfect time if you want to change that, because you're updating your master plan. If the board can justify different zoning, this is the right time to do it.
Can I say something? We had a discussion about 26 Mile Road, and there's a man that wants piece of property zoned commercial and it's residential. And according, you can't just change your master plan, but what we agree is that we would be interested, if the man had a site plan, to change the zoning to commercial, because he wants to change it to commercial just to sell it. But if he had a site plan, it wouldn't be spot zoning, and this way it would be like a site plan that's changed to commercial, rather than residential changed to commercial just for the purpose of selling. Because we do want it to encourage business on 26, but we also don't want a spot zoning deal. So,
Well, more than a site plan, a site plan did not mean that it would be changed. It would mean that the board would look at it, entertain it. It didn't mean that a site plan would automatically make it
well, no, it
a,
depends.
okay, well,
if there's a
you
problem
kind of
with
said
it.
it that way. With a site plan, it would be changed.
Well,
No, then the
Depends on the
possibility
site.
exists.
Right, then the
But you can't
possibility,
without
but,
it.
exactly.
say it's a site plan.
But just a
for-
site plan doesn't get it changed.
For Dr. Dogs or something. I mean, whatever, if it's for a dump, no, maybe not.
This particular piece, Matt is right, is adjoining a piece of commercial property.
Yeah, that's another mechanism normally,
It's adjoining, it's actually adjoining.
Adjacent to it.
Yeah, in essence, they can submit a proposed site plan and ask for a rezoning at the same time, but that's perfect.
Mhm.
Perfect.
Okay.
One other point, though, I think it's good to entertain changing things, but we also have to remember there are neighbors there, residents, and I know if I was that person, I wouldn't want, just use the word dump or whatever, built next door to my home. So before we do anything, entertain all thoughts, I think, before we decide what we're going to do. List it and/or change it. Just one more.
Or list it the way it's currently zoned. And the buyers can attempt to,
Change it.
change it as they need to if they're still interested in purchasing it.
So do we want to list it? Or do you want to table it?
Can I ask why we're selling at this property? It doesn't cost us anything. I don't understand why.
I don't know either.
That's a big issue to get rid of it. Do we need the money, the $17,000?
The motion was made 2014, Ken, I wasn't on the board,
December, I think it was.
to sell it so that we could build a station here, a fire station.
It was, it was
Put it
entertained at
toward it.
one time for a substation
Substation.
there for the ambulance service, for the township and the fire
Have
department.
they weighed whether it's better, the substation would be better here or there?
Well, we got two fire departments and each has an idea.
And they
That
just
seems
make
very
a lot of
sensible.
there anyway, so.
Yeah.
Should we revisit
So I mean,
that?
it's,
Or would you
there's,
rather not sell it?
yeah.
I think we should do more homework. I mean, what's another month? Let's do more.
Yeah.
I would think we just do more homework before we list it.
All right.
But I do think we should move it on. It's been over a year, and we haven't done anything with it, even though there was board action was to sell
Well, it
it.
is an asset. They
Yes.
seem to be dwindling. We better hold on to something.
I need a little more homework, maybe talking to our committees, and then entertain. It was a motion, though, by the board to sell it.
Yeah.
And then nothing
But
happened.
for a reason, as part of another plan, and it's not to do the other station with the money
Right,
from there.
right. I just brought it up last month because nothing was done. But
Well, then I make a motion that we table this for another month for informational purposes before we list it.
And the information you want me to seek is what?
Well, if we want to actually get rid of it, if we, we'll have to discuss, think about it, drive by it, do whatever everyone on the board wants to, and get some opinions from the citizens. If they just as soon it stays there, the township owns it, then that's probably the way we should do it.
You want to take a vote right now on that?
On the citizens?
No, on whether we're
What do
going
you
to really want to
take a
sell it.
vote on?
On we really want to sell it. I really don't think we should sell it. But
I
I'll
don't
do whatever
either.
the board wants me to tells me what to do.
if I'm correct, Mr. Chartier's motion is to table it to gain more research,
Okay?
sum up simply. I would second that, just so that it's still on the the burner, but it's on the back burner right now.
Okay, but I want to know specifically what you want me to get, what kind of information you want me to get for you.
Is there still a possibility that the township would entertain the idea of having a fire station there or a substation there? Because at that point, there was indications that the ambulance company or companies, whatever we want to rephrase it as, would be interested in, the sheriff's department would be, and one or both of the fire departments might entertain having something there. So I guess we would have to see if any of those possibilities are on the table, and then the township would still own it, and then that would be a service to the township and the adjoining township.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, they'll just always park there anyways half the time. I think they're picnicking here. Sleeping.
Well, makes it a little closer for you.
Yeah.
Would it be improper to bring it up at the joint meeting when we're working on the master plan review?
No, I think that'd be a good place to put it. Put it right on the agenda, seeing as how you're putting that together.
I agree.
All right.
Yep.
All right, we have a motion on the,
Yeah, who seconded it, Matt? I don't know.
Yes.
Kenny.
And a second.
Matt made, or Kenny made the motion, Matt seconded it, okay.
Second it, yes.
You gotta have a roll call.
Okay, do you want her to read this,
Why
or
we're
do
not
you
selling
want?
it? It's not money yet,
Oh,
we're
you're
just
just
doing the
tabling it.
research, yeah, we're
Okay.
tabling it.
Tabling the idea of research, I'm selling it, yes.
Okay, all in favor of tabling?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Those opposed? Motion carried. Okay, now we have the recreation plan proposal, clear zoning. This is people that we had dealt with when we got the grant money for the buying of the waterfront park. I went back to them and asked them if it was physically possible to do all this, and they assured me that in 2 months, but they'd want $5,350. Now, some of these things that can be done with the township meetings, I think we can pull those off without any help. I think if they did the actual updating and the public input, we could get that from, and then finalizing the plan. I think we could rush this through a little faster so that there would be, it would be restated. We're not going to do any changes as far as actually changing anything. All we're going to be doing is restating the actual plan, which I think we can do without spending $5,350. But that was the ceiling on this. I don't know if you want to take a look at that and try and get this handled so you can bid something by April 1st, or if you want to take our time and do it the old-fashioned way and wait another year.
Let's wait another year until we get a little money.
And we already missed, that 12 million grant.
Is it in the form of a motion, Mr. Chartier, that you'd
Yeah, I make
like?
a motion that we pass on getting clear zoning in there for the recreation for this year.
Okay, do we have a second?
Not yet. I'll second it so it's on the table, but I'd like to have further discussion.
Okay,
That's
we have a
possible.
second? Discussion?
We don't want to use them, but we want to get the master plan in order. Personally, I don't think there's any way possible we can make an April deadline. With my experiences with researching what the state proposes, when our plan gets put in play, and I showed this to the board, all of us got this in October, the state's agenda for recreational grants. You create the plan in October of last year. You then draft through public comments what you want to do, because we hurry up, rush this through, and we say, Sir Med, go sign a grant, go get a grant for us. He chases, I got this one. What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do in the park? He just can't get money. He has to write down specifically what you're going to do. You're going to put a parking spot in, you're going to put this in, you're going to build a pavilion. That's all research. That's bids, multiple bids. He's got to justify every number, every penny they put in that grant. They talk about October, getting it prepared for March so they can submit it for April. With January, we haven't done that and the plan's not in order. I personally don't think it's feasible at all to think we can put him under that pressure and complete. Even if we put him under the pressure, more power to him, go ahead and excel up. I don't think it's feasible, and if I'm wrong, you know, I'd stand corrected, but we've used clear zoning years past, and we thought we could do it on our own, I think was what I had heard through our last supervisor, and I think we met with clear zoning, and the old company that this was.
It's Birchler Aurora.
Yeah, I think we met several years ago with our past supervisor, invited many members of the planning committee, and I was on that, and we met with them, and they wanted our business and entertained us. This was in St. Clair. To me, this might be late to do this with this money, but I think it's good money spent so that it's done properly, timely, and we move forward. I think we should look at things like this. I'd rather spend $5,000 to get something done so that I can go after how many millions that are out there, and it is millions in recreational money, to recoup it back, to double our citizens' money. I'll spend 20 to make 100. I'll do that all day long. I'll spend 50 to make 100. We haven't even
As
doing
long
it.
as we got the 20 or the 50.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, and even, how did we get the park? It was the same thing. Sitting on it, those are assets that aren't doing anything for us. They're not doing what this township asked us to do when they asked, that they had that election to get that park. We've not done anything except spend money. So we have to formulate the plan of what we're going to do, what our goal is, what our plan is, realistic costs, and then go seek engineer to go get this grant and get this for us. Angie's at a class right now, she'll probably pick that up, and everybody pushed me last year to go to the same class. It's there. Then they sent me to I went to the grant writing class of my own. Dr. Brown, they call it. Millions of dollars she obtained for people in the state of Michigan. It's there. The last few years have been the biggest years for recreational money in the history of Michigan. We aren't even ready to do it. We haven't been for 3 years. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be one more year because the deadlines are April. So I don't have a problem spending $5,300, but I don't know if I spend that $5,300, and maybe our engineer can answer that, does that put our plan in play for future years and gets us right up to where we want to be, done, complete, and say next year we're ready to go?
Well, the plan would be, it's good for 5 years.
So this would give us everything,
Yeah.
For 5 years.
but there's no rush to do it if we can't meet April.
Well, I did the first one, and it was good till last year, December 31st.
Okay.
So this is another one for 5 years, but you can only do it every 5 years. So if you want to wait it another year, like
Then
Ken
it
said,
would be still good for another 5 years?
it's good for 5 years after you do it.
Okay, so if we did it in 2016, or if we did it in 2017, it's good for 5 years.
Right.
Okay.
And a question you asked on money, $24,000 from Parks and Rec, correct? To me, that's money spent. So I like to double down. I'll take $5,000 out of 24 given to me from the county to give them more money in the Parks and Recreation and to design something. But we don't have that plan. So Med showed us 10 grants in the last month that he's chased and emailed us. I was in Florida looking at them, and they're there. But what do you want to do with that money? He has to know all that before he can even submit it.
Well, our first thing was to try and get you some power in the park.
That, I agree, right. I
And the
think
last
that-
time
we've
we
been saying
shopped
that
it,
for-
it was 50-some thousand.
Matt worked with Reggie from,
Yeah, Reggie Brown.
I mean, for a long time, and then.
That's 3 years ago, I met Reggie Brown, and we were gonna do it, and we were out there, but we don't have things in order and place to do it. So I mean, if we don't have things in place to do it, we should, whatever it takes, spend the money to get things in place and in order so that we can do that.
Any other questions or concerns? Call for the question then. Would you read it, please?
All of what he said.
The motion.
The
The
motion.
motion
Then
is,
we pass on that at this time.
yes, second, so as the table for future discussion.
We have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Nay. Okay, let's go on to the next
Can I
one.
ask you a question?
Sure.
So, it really didn't have anything to do with the master plan, all this lights in the, I mean, everybody's pressuring me that the master plan has to be done, because we can't get any grants. It's all about the Parks and Rec plan. Really, planning commission has no reason that we have to rush the master plan. We were doing just fine, you know, and as far as having, they wanted $17,000 to do that plan, and when I looked at the 2011, okay, it's a repeat of everything in the master plan, there was no changes, and they never mentioned any accomplishments, with the exception of the park in the township, which was from 2004 or 6. It didn't mention bypass, it didn't mention water districts, it didn't mention the park that we were, in the process of it, actually we voted for, and actually we had, we were just in the process of making payment. It never mentioned any accomplishments in that, which to me, if you have a master plan, and you're trying to show contractors who come in, or anybody who wants to come in, that you are keeping up with your master plan, I would think in the review, you would mention that our master plan says bike paths. We've completed, with the exception of one section, we've completed so much bike paths. Okay, and master plan suggests that we get another park, which it did, on the River Road, possibly a riverfront park, which we did. Didn't mention that in the 2011 review. Water districts, mentions water. Didn't mention the 3 water districts, which were all before the 2011 plan. And this is something we probably paid $14,000, I don't know what you paid at the time, for professional people to do this, which we did make no changes. It was for the paperwork, for them to come, to throw questions at us, and when you look at the result, it's fine, it's very formal, probably like any other township guy. But this is our township, we know what was accomplished, and that's why we decided for $17,000, we could all read it, and that's what we did, both the review and the plan, discuss, reword some things that make it understandable how we will accomplish things, and mention what we have accomplished.
And what we haven't done that was in the original.
Correct.
Because there are a couple things that were recommendations that we haven't done.
And then that way, this is an update review that actually tells you where the state of, the state of Cottrellville is, according to the master plan review. And that's what our thoughts are to accomplish this. And when you look at that review from 2011, I'm sorry, it's a lot of words, but it's that impressive. You can read the master plan and read the review, and they're both basically the same. It just copy same stuff that was in the master plan, with no accomplishments in it.
So, man, mostly the stuff that you're chasing for us, only because you used that word, is, well, I hate to say it sounds like he's chasing his tail, but those are mostly things for the park, right? For parks and recreation? Is it necessary for the master plan to be updated so quickly?
If I may, these are dynamic 2 documents. They should be done in harmony. The master plan cannot be done with a harmonious rec plan. But to answer your question, I think I sent 2 rounds of grants. One of them was totally recreation. The other one was all the others. So they are linked together.
Okay, so the recreation plans obviously have to, I know that for a fact from the Michigan Department of Natural Resources, you have to have that. That's the reason that these people were so good at getting our grant for the waterfront park, because they do this every day.
That is correct.
Your company, though, can handle the master plan type looking for grants for them. But if we're not in a big hurry to do that, why don't we just let Pat take her time and get it finished? She'd probably have it done in 3 months, 4 months.
Well, I'll have it done before that, but this way I won't have to push I won't have to push
We
the
could have a master
metropolitan
plan.
planning
Then start
before
working.
middle of March, try to get that 30-day
Right.
deal in.
Then we don't like recreation
The question here is, if we're not making the deadline, let them work on it.
We'll still have a January 27th.
And then the second part, can we chase it? Of course.
So, I mean, he can do the same thing. He can write the grant and go after it for recreation also, once we get that, a plan or some sort of a scope of what we want to achieve.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We've done it either way, either the plan.
Well, I know you've worked with Dave Birchler, because he told me.
Yes.
He says
We still work with them.
Yep, you do a lot of townships with his, where he's the other guy. So,
Did you guys look at all these grants? I don't see any of them that we'd be interested in, with the exception of the first one about the bike paths.
All right, that's for planning, okay?
I'm just saying.
Okay.
that why rush for a list of grants that I don't see anything.
Just one more comment.
Oh, sure.
The feedback that I'm getting from planners, why they're asking for more money recently, the state law changed, and their guidelines for master plan have changed. So they want to make sure that whatever you write is acceptable by the state. Because anybody can write a master plan. But specifically, these planners are trained to address all these requirements. So I didn't get involved with the update.
But when we do our 2020, we will have to have those. Now, this is just a review, which we're not really making the changes. We're restating some, making it more understandable, just a few things, but it's not changing anything. We're not changing.
Yeah, that's what I'm
And they
trying
will
to
look
say.
at it.
Somebody needs to look and make sure that whatever is existing meets the requirement.
He's on my list, actually, for them to look at it after we do this. For the, or the lawyer, either one, to look at it. That's one of the things on my list of the process, the checklist.
Yeah, planner normal.
Okay, I think we're beat this horse to death. How about you? Okay, zoning board of appeals. Did we get any list of alternate members?
I did not.
Anybody got anybody? All right, we're gonna put that back on next month then, because we gotta get some planning commission and alternates for both the zoning board of appeals, and we need 3 members for your board, don't we? Do we not?
2 possibly.
Okay. All right. Let's go on to the next thing. The ambulance agreement between Cottrellville Township and Tri-Hospital Emergency Medical Services Corporation. When he brought that in to me, he said that I was dropped off first by the fire chief of Marine City, and then he sent the guy that's in charge of Tri-Hospital. And they said that informally they had some kind of an agreement before, which we searched the records, and Vi was here for, 12 years before that, and she does not remember any of this ambulance service stuff either. So he kind of rephrased it when I told him to bring me a copy of what we had before, because he didn't have one. So anyhow, we discussed that a little bit. He says that the problem is the fire department cannot transport people. The key is when you might remember this, Mr. Barnes, when they transport somebody, in order for the insurance to pay for it, you have to stay overnight one night at least, and then they'll pick it up. Otherwise, you're stuck with that bill. So I guess Clay Township is starting their own ambulance down there with Artie Bryson and Clay, and this company, I guess, has been running this area for, well, longer than Vi was clerk. So, but anyhow, I took a look at it. I haven't sent it to Mr. McNamee yet. I wanted to start with you guys to see if you wanted to bother signing it, or just continue going the way we've been going. Or if you think it's something that you want to entertain, then we'll send it off to the attorney to take a look at it and see if he thinks it's all right to sign before we sign it. So it's in your court. What's your druthers?
Haven't seen it yet.
It's in your stuff.
The same copy that you're talking about, that's the same one that they're
Yeah,
on sign.
yeah, it's in your stuff. That's why it's pretty lengthy, so.
And you said we did not have a contract, a written formal contract prior to this?
No, we didn't. He said we did,
But
and
he
I couldn't
generate
find it.
But he couldn't generate
But
it?
when I asked him to bring it to me, when you bring me the new one, I want to see it, then he kind of stumbled around and told me that there really wasn't anything in writing. It was just kind of a verbal agreement. But I want to make sure that whatever we sign is set in stone. So if it's something that you don't want to entertain, that's okay too. Just whatever your pleasure is.
I think maybe we should have John look at it.
Okay, you're thinking that you will want to sign this, but we'll just make sure there's no bugs in it, eh? Is that in the
Maybe
form of a
John would
motion?
remember if we had one before, because we would have had him look at it, no matter what.
Well, John's been here as long as you've been
Why
here.
would you have a contract with them when the police department calls the ambulance, like they did for my wife, the state police? They call for an ambulance, and then the ambulance showed up, and then the fire department showed up. It doesn't matter, it's still the same thing, that person that uses that service should pay for it. It should not, we should not entertain the idea of paying for that service.
No, this isn't a pain, it's just giving them direction that they have to come to our area. That's,
But is, not to interrupt you, I have to apologize, but is this excluding other companies from coming in?
I don't think there's anybody else in
That
it.
would be my fear, is that if some other company came in with a cheaper rate, they could say, oh no, this is our area.
I
And
think,
that's,
I think he's been in business about 20 years, but he hasn't, there's nobody that really wants to do this anymore. They used to, way before your time, but the ambulance services used to be tied to the funeral homes, and they had them coming and going, so. But
I'd like to be able to charge your mileage for all the runs they make down Shade Road.
I'm gonna make a motion to have John look this over before we sign it.
under the impression that you think we want to tie this service up, is that correct? Do we have a
Possibly.
second?
Your comment and her motion don't match. We would want John to look at this and give us his recommendation, whether or not we think we want them or don't want them. First, we want to see if the contract is the way that John wants it to be written, so I mean,
No,
I'll second her motion that we have John look at it without saying, yes, we do want them or no, we don't.
Okay, fine. All right, everyone understand the motion, or would you like it read?
I need a second.
He
I
seconded
second
it.
it.
Ken did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Patty made the motion.
They have
We
John,
give it to John to look over first.
yeah, before we sign.
Everyone understand the motion? Okay. All in favor of that motion, signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Nays? Motion carried. Okay, there's an invitation to the 2016 semi-annual meeting of the St. Clair County EDA. It's a candidate forum. You see the people that are going to be speaking. It's Tuesday, February 9th at the Alexander's Premier Banquet Hall on Gratiot in Marysville, and it's $30 a person to attend. If you want me to book that for you, I can. I suggest we all go. However, I think we should go Dutch. Everyone pay their own way. That's just
I make a
my-
motion, everyone who decides to go pays their own way.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to attend this meeting, and everyone pays their own bill. All in favor?
Everyone decides to go, pays their own.
Decides to go. All right, well, need to make reservations, so you're gonna have to tell somebody, unless you wanna make your own reservations, that's fine too.
Okay.
All right? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Nay? Motion carried. All right, we need 2 volunteers for the Parks and Rec Committee, and we have volunteers Nikki Sandro, is that pronounced correctly? And Gerald Garbarino.
Carberry, yep.
Okay. Would you please stand and tell us a little bit about why you want to be on Parks and Rec? And,
Come on,
well, I didn't get a resume from you.
well, we're very into the outdoors, along with, you know, we have our chickens and stuff, but, oh, I gotta go over there. Oh, man, this ain't good.
Our producer says that.
People from home.
As many know that Nikki and I participated this year in Trunk or Treat. We put up a big haunted house for the kids. We intend to come back next year and go bigger. We assisted with a lot of the setup on the day and the day before of that, and that is our interest, to help the kids and make kids happy. And we don't have our own kids. We have animals, dogs, you know, and stuff. But we do love kids, and they all should get a chance to smile. And if it's something we can do to help with the Parks and Rec, I think that it's a good thing for us.
Okay, very good. I won't make you go through it. All right, we'd like to decide if we're going to put these 2 lovely people on our Parks and Rec board.
I'll make a motion that we accept both of these people to be on the Parks and Rec.
I'll second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. Welcome to our committee. Okay, I know that a few months ago, there was something about renewing a membership with the Marine City Chamber of Commerce. Angie wanted us put this on the agenda because she thinks that we should participate in that only because to be community-oriented with them. I kind of agree with her. I think its membership is like $70 or something. If you want to revisit that, I'd like to find out if anybody else besides Angie, of course, she's not here tonight because she's sick. But, well, there's only a couple of businesses in the township anyway, so. But it's the community thing. It's just like you're supposed to, everyone show up when we're going to decorate the hall and we're going to have an event for the kids in the park. Those are all community events that you want to participate. You want your neighbors and friends to come. So.
Didn't we vote on this last time it came up?
Yeah.
Yes, that's
How
what I
many times are
understood.
we gonna beat this horse?
Well, she and I both felt that we should belong to this. If you don't, I'm only 2 votes. We're me and Angie. So and Angie's
Make
not
a
here,
motion
so
that
there's
we
nobody.
pass on this again and hopefully won't have to hear about it again for another year. Because if we're gonna do the same motions every other meeting,
Well, it wasn't
What's the
every other
purpose of
meeting.
passing it?
Angie and I weren't on the board then, Ken. This is my point. You got a little new blood in here that there are people that are kind of excited about working, and it's nice to have them participate in things like this with other cities. If you don't want to do that, that's fine.
This says renew, so we're members now?
I don't know if we are or not. It's a renewal that they sent us. That's what
Wasn't
the
there a
envelope said.
time limit, a deadline date on the renewal?
Not that I was aware of, no. You can join at any point. I think they prorate your dues if that's what you need. All right, do I have a second to Ken's motion, or is it gonna die for lack of support? I guess it died for lack of support. Okay, we have some lighting fixtures that need to be replaced on the township hall. And this one out here has been out for, I don't know how many months now. I think when they were voting, they didn't even have light up there.
The next election is dangerous.
Yeah, I know, that was my point. I did have an envelope, but I probably left it on my desk. Excuse me for just 1 minute. Okay. This is the light that he intends to, or would like to put up if you buy it. He gave me 3 different bids. I told him I wanted it bid repairing that light. I wanted a bid to replace them all with new lights. These are supposed to be, have a 10-year warranty. And then the 3rd bid is to replace them. So if you want to take a look at these, first bid is replace 5 high-pressure sodium 70-watt wall packs with 5 10-watt LED fixtures. Fixtures are from Lumicon Lighting and include 10-year parts and warranty, made in Michigan. No permit is required. That was $925. The second bid was to install 2 10-watt LED fixtures on the garage, 1 fixture to be placed on the north side of the building and 1 fixture to be placed on the east side of the building to light up the parking lot. And there's no permit required on that one either. If required, $500 for that bid. And then the third bid is to replace 5 lamps in 70-watt high-pressure sodium wall packs. Note, one of the 5 existing lights does not work and will need a ballast kit or a photocell, possibly both, to repair. And that's $400. So if you wanna, these just came in this evening when I walked in the door, so I apologize for not having it included in your packet. If you want to wait, and I'll make copies of these for you to have to review and let me know, we can do it that way, or, but I really would like to have them done by the March voting so that the girls aren't walking around in the dark out here. So, what's your pleasure?
Who's the quote by?
Sideline Electric. He's the gentleman that's been doing
All
quite a...
3 of them are the same?
Yeah, well, there are 3 different bids, but they're all done by the same guy, yes. Sideline has done the work here for several years.
Can I make a
He does all
suggestion?
the work for the pump stations and stuff for the sewer, so.
Can I make a suggestion that, I'm all in favor of it, I absolutely agree with the need for them. But so that we as a board don't do something incorrect, can we review our purchasing policy and follow it? I believe these numbers are lower than anything that dictates 3 bids. Can we look at that policy? and
Well,
then-
these are just 3 different ideas.
Well, they're 3 ideas, but if we made a motion to say, go ahead and do it.
Well,
and then
you
we go
gotta
look
tell
at
me
our-
which bid you wanna do.
I understand, that's what I'm getting at. And then if we violated the policy that we put in play that said you need 3 bids for each one of those 3 different quotes. Follow me? We may have to do that because of our purchasing policy. So my suggestion is that we don't do anything except look at our purchasing policy, make sure we don't violate anything. And if there is no violation, then just get us that in our next packet, and then we can make a good decision as to what we want to do. That would be my suggestion, just to follow the proper procedure.
If we were gonna put new lights in, though, we'd probably wanna go with the new LEDs, wouldn't we? It saves a lot of electricity. So we'd want probably the 5 brand new ones, is that what the
Which is
first quote
for
of 900 was?
$900.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
do
we
it
spend on
right.
the fixtures, we save on the juice.
Right.
Easy, especially over the 10-year warranty, parts and labor.
If that company is under contract with the township, you're not violating purchase policy.
If they are under contract.
Huh?
Are they under contract with us, or just,
Just
I think
on
they
a
were
will
just,
call.
one of the local.
He's a local resident too.
Yeah, that is correct. Then you need 3 bids from 3 different companies.
Yeah, but I think what Matt's getting at, we don't know if it was at $500 or $1,000.
Money threshold.
It could be.
and that's what I'm just saying, look at it before we do something wrong. Before we do something right, make sure we don't do something wrong.
All right, well, let's hope we don't have somebody fall out here and get sued while we're deciding what to do here.
We're just following a procedure that was put in play by past boards so that the board does things properly for the people we represent, the township. That's all we're trying to do, is follow the format.
If it's a passport, it's 20,000. If it's
No,
over
I
20,000.
disagree with you. Which past board? The last current one? Last year, we just changed it. We had people change these policies.
Okay,
We had
what-
credit card changes. The clerk should have all these on file. Multiple meetings with many people, many residents who sat down and put policies in play
I
to
don't have-
prevent the supervisor, not you, don't take, supervisor or anybody here doing whatever they want.
Okay.
That's what the people wanted, that's what we put in play. And that's all I'm saying. Make sure we follow that so that we're not doing things wrong. That's all I'm saying.
We don't have those policies. I can tell you that right
They'll be
now.
in the
I can
minutes.
tell you they're
Whatever
in
the
the minutes.
motions will be in the minutes.
Trust me, we've been going
Pat
through.
was just gonna go see if she could find the book that the new stuff was in.
There's an election
What-
on the
what do you
first
got?
Tuesday of March, and you need a light out there before that. People go out that door,
I
they
totally
go,
understand.
and it was.
We have another meeting.
Got
Just
a
saying,
light up there.
you put a light out there and then we violate and do something wrong. What's the purpose of having guidelines and procedures for the people up here to follow if you don't follow them?
Okay, well, we gotta find this magic book you're talking about, because I haven't seen it yet.
My suggestion would be to go to the whole last year's minutes and read them, because they were in them. We had folders 3 times this size with things we read, we researched,
Okay.
that was given to us to make decisions on, and we did, for the people that sit up here, for
Okay.
those people.
Yes, sir?
Sorry, the only exception to the rule is if you think it's a hazard or a safety issue,
There you go.
you can authorize it tonight.
Well, that was kinda what I was thinking, but we won't rock the boat right now, we'll see.
Al has a copy set up.
Okay, well, I'm not gonna read that. Oh.
We'll get that back to, but that is one of the procedures that was worked on, that whole
If they
packet.
wanna keep them, look at them, as long as I get them back.
Right.
Okay.
Now, those are things we all looked at, and those were all MTA guidelines, where we
All
started.
right, do we have a motion on the floor, or do we not? No?
All we have is what we need to entail to correct. Replace lights for the township hall yard.
All right, so it's your wish to have this table till next month?
Mine was yes. So we
Okay,
do it
is that a
properly.
form of a motion?
Not necessarily. But I don't think it needs to be.
Well,
It's on the
it's on the
agenda.
agenda, so we gotta do something with it. We
You
either
gotta table it or vote on
Or
it.
vote on it, one or the other.
Can I reword something and try it that way? I make a
Sure.
motion that we'll put the 5 LED lights up as quoted if it does not violate any of our past purchase proposals
Okay.
or regulations. That we shall have to check. If it does, then it'll have to come to the next meeting.
Okay. All right, and we don't wanna put anything on the garage then, right?
I thought you were putting 5 up, wherever he was
Well,
putting
the 5 is what's on the building right now.
Well, what's for the garage?
What are you getting replaced?
Well, the one that would need to be replaced is this one. But he says if they're sodium, so if they're starting to go, they're all gonna go within a few weeks.
So how many lights are there altogether?
There's 5 lamps with the 10-watt LEDs. That's 925.
Correct. Does that include the garage that you're asking me
No.
about?
No, the garage is, that's to just replace what we have, just the way it is. To install 2 new ones, 2 fixtures on the garage, it's another $500. And just to fix the one that we have is $400. The one light that's broke up here. But he says that you're gonna have to end up fixing them all, so.
Can I amend Mr. Chartier's motion?
Please.
I like the 5, plus the additional 2, as long as we aren't violating any policies that are put in place.
Is that all right with you?
What brand were those lights?
Aluma.
All right, we have a motion,
Lumicon.
and we have a second. Does there anyone need the motion repeated? Okay,
I second.
I think Kenny did.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
we're all
third.
set. Okay, all right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
It's mine.
So,
Aye.
money vote.
Oh,
It's a money
oh,
vote.
all right, let's
It's a
go.
roll call.
Let's have a roll call. Mrs. Paff?
Matt,
Yes.
Patty,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Mary Agnes.
Yes. Okay, very good, motion carried. All right, we have a battery that's supposed to come in from the fire department for the emergency defibrillator that's in the hall. I thought he would have me a price by this evening, but he does not. But he did order it, so when it comes in, we'll have to vote to
Question
pay
on
for
that,
it.
does anybody here know how to work that?
Mhm.
Okay.
There's directions on those things too.
Yeah, it'll tell you.
We got trained on the one that we have at church.
Yeah.
I'm assuming
Would you ask him when he brings it to bring one for the clock too?
I was gonna bring that up. Agnes, we had spoken with him on that, asked and suggested that be, I think it's quarterly, those are supposed to be checked. And that, your tri-hospital gentleman, the owner, I had asked him, because he does the training in this area, and he said he would, I think follow-up wasn't continued by the past board, that they would do a free training of the people in the office. And not that I want to put those people in the position to do it, but if something happens, people are going to expect somebody here to know how to work
And then
that.
if
And I know
if
the
you're not here and
self-explanatory,
you know how to do it,
but when
somebody
someone's
else
laying
should
there,
be.
isn't the time to try to be reading and
Yeah,
someone's saying,
we had a CPR class a few years ago.
Yep.
No one went to use it, and the battery was dead.
Yep.
And it's quarterly they have to check the battery? I thought it was gonna be annual.
I know mine. it
It's
was-
not a lot of reading.
But it
But
is a lot of reading.
I
It tells you,
understand.
it walks you
Remember,
right through it.
It's
White's
not, because
right.
You know what, when you take the class.
White's right on it.
You're gonna forget it anyway, and it self-directs, but it would be nice to have a class like this here.
At least
Yeah, let's see if
he
we can do
said
that.
he
Should
would,
be
but-
offered in
All
And
right,
in this one, I believe those are single source vendors. So there are no other
We've
quotes
had
on
those
it?
before.
No,
That's a particular brand,
You
a
have
single
batteries
source
or have
vendor,
classes?
so you aren't going out to
Classes.
multiple
We had
bids
it
for
on a
that battery.
Saturday.
So I
Okay.
don't think whatever the cost
Well,
is.
for
I don't think
anybody
it's
who
an
wants
issue.
to,
Yeah.
that's what we have to pay
put
for.
it in
All
the
right, very good
newsletter, and there
then.
were
So are you
people
saying
saying-
then we should
that's something we do.
go ahead
Make
and
the motion
motion
that
to
we-
pay for it when it comes in?
Yes, because I have to
I'll
put
second
the,
that.
Thank you.
I asked,
We have a motion on the floor that Matt just pointed out that that's a single source to buy that, so we're not gonna have to shop for batteries. So he agrees that when the battery comes in, we can pay the fire department for it. And
I'll
I
second
it. I did already. You can
Oh,
third it. All right. Everyone understand the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Roll call.
Aye. Oh, yes, roll call, excuse me.
Ken,
Yes,
Patty,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Mary Agnes.
Yes. Okay, now we're going to motion carried. Waiving of that 675 invoice for the Marine City Area Fire Department Authority for the Winter Circle. I kind of alluded to that a little bit ago when Mr. Roshan was up there. I agree that with him that if you're gonna carry insurance, you gotta carry what you're supposed to carry. If you wanna be cheap about it, then you carry less insurance, and when you have trouble, you take your chances. I don't think 675 is that big an invoice for a business that, you know, when that many people showed up and that much equipment was at the scene, even though she claims they never even got out of their truck, which I can't believe that. I mean, if they're gonna go to a fire, they're gonna check it, so, and they did go in and check whether they put it out right, because they didn't have to put it out, but anyhow, that's the story, and she claims that Kelly Faselli waived it, and she's depending on that to be holding, and I told her that she didn't have the right to do that, that it's only board action, and that it's usually not the policy of the board to waive expensive invoices like that, and she did bring up the one about the gas company as well, so we can waive it for the big
can I
gas
ask
company
a
like that.
question?
Yes, sir.
Who called the fire department? Was it somebody driving by or was it somebody inside the bar?
I think it was
Inside
somebody
the
in the
bar.
bar.
Well, at the time, they must have thought they needed them.
Well, I think it was a grease fire, so I imagine it goes pretty fast.
And if they hadn't shown up, the township or the fire department would have been sued for not being there.
I agree. So we entertain a motion to not waive the 675 and tell her she is responsible for that?
I make a motion not to waive it.
Do I have a second? I'll second. All right, we have a motion. Everyone understand it? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried. All right, announcements. The first thing I was going to tell you about was our meeting, our joint meeting with the Planning Commission, but Patricia took care of that for me, so we don't have to worry. We also received a notice of a meeting, the annual meeting for the road, with the Road Commission, and it's on Wednesday, February 24th, and it's been scheduled for 1 to 3 p.m.
What's that date again?
It's in your stuff. It's February 24th. It's a Wednesday, and it's 1 to 3 p.m. There's a format that's been established in previous years. There's a short general session, followed by an assignment of each township to a separate meeting area so that the Central Service Center with the Road Commission staff can make their rounds and meet each township on an individual basis. It's not mandatory that you go, but I told them that I locked in the time and date so that we wouldn't be caught with one of these dark late night things, and I have to go the next morning to Cleveland Clinic, so I don't want to be farting around at 8:30 at night. So I took that upon myself to do that, and if you don't want to attend, you don't have to.
1 to 3.
No, where is it in the packet?
So it's not in the packet. Here.
Oh, I thought you just said it was.
So if you would like to go, please let me know as soon as possible so I can give them a heads up as to how many bodies are going to be there. So just for a point of information. I also attended
on that road commission, I've been to those meetings and they are good. They take you after the briefing, they take you to a room, and each township has their room, and each person in that road commission comes from their office and briefs you at what they actually do.
I attended another meeting yesterday, Township Roads and Bridges Advisory Committee for the county road, and because our township is one of the members. They talked about the coming year for the limestone. What they had proposed was getting, they have some kind of an application for some money that they're going to take out of the coffers there. They're going to donate $20,000 to each township if they'll match it with $5,000. And that's for any additional limestone that will be spread over 2 sections of 1 mile each. That they're going to try and pass that through the road commission. Mr. Blumerick was there. He's a member of the board of the road commission, and he came to the meeting to make sure that we were still going to buy that, and it was pretty unanimous that it was a good deal. So we just have to wait until they act on it for sure. So if you'd like that, there's one for you too. So that's just kind of point of information for that. I think that's about all I have. So you probably read in the paper about the court case. We made the front page of the paper again. Kelly Caselli. And we got a notice from the Public Risk Claim Services that handles the defense costs for Kelly's defense. The coverage is a $50,000 per limit, and we've already spent $48,138.02. So there's only $1,861 and some change left. I called them immediately to ask them, what do we do next, and who pays the rest? And he says, well, you'll have to contact the attorney, which I got Mr. Siebert on the phone, and he said that he thinks he can wrap it up for under that. And I said, well, what if you can't wrap it up under that? He says, then he will not charge us anymore. He said, that's a pretty big hit. So, and I did request a copy of all the action. This is, I think it's 12 pages of all the appearances he made. I got this from the court, so I know he's probably done more than that. So, but I did want you to realize that that's what you get. So, we'll see what
was the final outcome? I had to leave the last 5 minutes. The judge didn't make any decisions on anything,
no, he
did he?
didn't. He took it under advisement. He wanted 10 days to 2 weeks to write a report, because he's still kicking around the amount of money that he wants to pay, that they want to pay the attorney on the other side if we lose. And they're going to just leave it in limbo for a little while. So, but we should have an answer pretty soon, because there's another hearing. Actual trial begins on the 12th of February. So
For the township or for?
Well, it's for her.
But is the township involved with that also?
Yeah, your insurance is paying that.
They have to represent her?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He figured if he walked away, it would end up costing us more money, because the new attorney would want more time and have to go through all the things he's already been through. And he assured me he would not charge me, or charge us any more. If it went over the $50,000, then it would just, they'd eat it. So.
Do you think you need to get something written up from him, just?
No, I think he's.
This is Siebert now? That's
Mr.
not
Siebert.
McNamee, right?
No, it's
Okay.
Mr. Siebert. He's a man of his word. He's always been pretty trustworthy, so.
Guess if he doesn't hold up, we don't renew our insurance with him.
I think that's about all the announcements that I've got. Anybody got any comments? Or should we go to public comments and see if there's anybody else wants to talk out in the audience? All right. smack the audience.
I have a couple questions. One is kind of directed maybe to you a little bit, Matt. We had talked previously about water coming down 26 Mile. Now that that company is up and running, do you know, is there anything about water being run down there now? Or not now, but in the near future? And if there is, would there be any type of grant, since there's that business over by the airport? If they want water, would there be any type of grant, because it's a business, to bring it down 26 Mile Road? And then also, talking about 26 Mile Road, I know it's county, but like right in front of my house is really bad with the semis. And the grading is so bad that there's probably coming out of my driveway about this high to get up on the road. Who do I contact about that to have that fixed? And I think 26 Mile is going to have to be repaved again soon, like they seem to do every couple of years.
I think they're just putting seal coat down, aren't they, Kim?
I don't know what they're gonna do this next time, they're gonna have to, but
We can find out.
number one, nobody started a petition that I'm aware of for the water to go down 26. That's
Now, where did
the
you hear
beginning
that?
step, isn't it?
I didn't, we had just discussed, it wasn't that they were going to, it was just kind of a discussion because of the business.
They would like
had
it
been
too, I'm
purchased.
sure.
Right.
I'm in there frequently, and they would like it too for the fire.
Protection?
Protection, but they can't start it. I mean, it's gonna go down in front of everyone's houses, so there's gotta be a petition.
Right.
Same percentages, I'm assuming, for, as it was for the residentials.
Well, they
You know,
could
it's
pay
gonna
for it
go-
themselves if they wanted it that bad.
But it still has to go down in front, an easement in front of everyone's property.
Yeah, but they
And then the
don't.
road, you'd have to get hold of the road commission,
Go right to the road commission.
who Mary Agnes was just talking about, and they're the ones that would take care of the shoulder. And I'm sure once you tell them the problem, they're pretty good about getting out there on 26.
Okay. And third, and this was something, I know that you had spoke with the resident about some rental issues. And is it possible, and again, I don't know who even to talk to about this, about getting an ordinance in Cottrellville about houses having to be inspected before they can rent them out?
Yeah.
Because we've got tenants who are going into these houses who, the landlords really should not be renting these houses. And I know right now we don't have an ordinance where the township inspects before they can do a rental. Is that something that's a possibility of getting in the township?
I've already requested a copy from the city of Algonac. Bill's gonna bring one back to me. I just asked him about it the other day, so when he brings that in, I'll give it to the planning commission and have them take a look at it, and if there isn't too much to change on it, we'll see if we can get that adopted, and then there'll be a fee. We'll have to, charge him a fee for Bill, because that's not included in his agreement with us, so.
Occupancy permit?
Pardon me?
An occupancy permit?
So that whenever anyone moves out, we'll have to have him go through the building, but it'll be probably on his own time. It wouldn't be able to be during the hours because there isn't enough time in the
Right,
day. But it would be something that would be, a permit that
That
they
the
would
landlord
receive and
has
it
to
would pay
get.
for it, yep.
Excellent.
So I think
All
that
right.
will solve a lot of the problems. It's pretty successful in Port Huron, but they've got, I guess if you have 4,000 residents or more, it's mandatory through the state.
Okay.
But we've only got, 2,900 in our township?
3885 or something like that,
Oh, do we?
3,800.
I thought there's so many parcels we had, but I don't think we
Well,
have that
that's
many
the
people.
parcels, but
Yeah.
the people
Yeah,
are-
People's like 2,900, I think.
Then they must have left.
Thank you.
To add to that,
Yes, up at the top there, Barb.
That was a long walk. but
Don't take your beer.
I've walked many.
So can you tell me, to add to that, where is the existing water lines now? And how do you start a petition?
You come in and you visit the clerk,
To you guys? Okay.
yeah, and the assessor, and she'll get the wording for you and get it all prepared. You take it out. She also gives you a list of all the parcels that are in there and their names and addresses, and you have to contact those people. And if there's 2 people living there, you need both signatures. Is that Right. correct? Yep.
Oh,
I
both?
think.
And you have to know the exact direction you wanna go with it. You can't just say, I wanna do Broadridge Road, you gotta
Where you're gonna connect.
where you're gonna connect onto the existing water and how far you want it to go
There's
beyond.
maps here with all
Is
the
there?
water districts, so you
Okay.
can see right where the water
Great.
is water.
Wonderful.
Okay,
Thank you.
anybody else? Do you feel like walking up
We should
there?
get you a portable, a
Yeah.
handheld.
Number one, I'm going to comment that I thank the board for letting us interact with you tonight during the discussions. One other thing I'd like to ask, is there a list of our inspectors or whatever? Because I have this problem with this one house down on the corner, Shea Road, near the corner store there on Starville. This car's been there on the easement, I think, with a busted window. You can't even get in there. It's a wonder there's not rats running out of there. Surely, if the township can't do nothing, maybe the state can, if somebody files a grievance.
Have you called in a complaint before?
No, I haven't.
Have you received one, Patty?
No, but I know what he's talking about.
Okay.
Well, I don't know the procedure, that's why I'm
Who's he
asking.
calling? I guess that's what he's asking.
Well,
What's the procedure?
well, we really don't have
We don't
anybody to
have
do the
an
zoning right
ordinance
now.
Is it
enforcer, so.
licensed? Is it, can you see the plates?
Yes.
It's got a current license?
It might be expired because it's backed up in there. It's been there for at least 2 or 3 months. The window's busted out and the snow's covered through everything but the window.
This close to the road.
It is.
All right, let me see what I can find out for you about it, but the complaint usually comes through, if it's that sort of a complaint is supposed to be like more of a enforcement, isn't it?
Yes,
We
that's
don't
what I
have-
was trying
we
to
don't
say,
have
if we have any,
Because when
Is that the
Kelly,
us or can they just call the sheriff's direct?
no, it's on private property, they're not gonna touch it.
No, it's parked on the road's edge.
Is it right,
It's
is
in
it
the
in the
right
right
of
of way?
Right by the
Yeah.
ditch.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's in the right of way.
All right, well then we can have them.
But sometimes the health department will take care of a situation like that, if it's
More than a vehicle.
There's one.
There's one right down there on Marsh in front of a vacant house. People are gone, the windows are all smashed out of it, it's sitting there. It's been there for, that car's been there for the 3 years that I've lived, that was there. 3 years that I've lived down here. Correct me, I'd like to correct me.
and maybe to make your job easier sometime, if they could get a list of who would handle what problems, if we have problems, who we should be able to contact, so that we're not just disturbing you today, like in a
Well,
matter
lots of
this or
times we
whatever.
get so many calls, we get many calls on the same thing, and it's much easier to just try and head it off that way if we can. Let me look into it for you. If you can get me the address, I'll send somebody over to take a look.
Thank you. Yep, we're gonna,
Not right now.
thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Mr. Barnes. Anyone else have a comment or complaint?
Yeah, let's adjourn the meeting, Kenny's gonna get home.
Okay, I make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
A second.
All right. 9:20.